right, everybody, welcome back to the 1% podcast. This one I'm excited for because we literally just said off air, there's going to be a lot of talking shit, so I'm excited. Honestly, this one's just going to be obviously, I'm kind of talking to someone that's a role model as well, which is amazing. So I've got Rob from Boar Supplements on the podcast today. How you doing, man?
Very good, mate. Very good. And yeah, the more shit that you want to talk, it's kind of my expertise. You would have thought it had been supplements, but it's not.
Amazing. We obviously will dive into supplements and things like that, but I like this podcast to kind of get to know the individual. So I want to kind of get to know old school Rob. So diving back, I like to bring you back to like, what was it like growing up, high school, things like that? What was family life like and things like that for you?
Oh, that's a good question. So interesting, really, because my dad's side of the family come from a very sort of land-rich, wealthy background. So it was all cricket, racehorsing, and grand gardens, and living on the family estate.
Wow.
When I was growing up, so we've got an estate in Shropshire, which is, the house is open to the public. If you want to go and visit, you can go and visit.
Oh, wow, cool. Yeah.
So it's a big old place. But yeah, it's on a big farm, and do you know, it was a lot of fun because we got to go fishing. It's run along 7 miles of the River Severn, which is huge. And you know, I was properly into my fishing when I was younger, so we used to take our mates down there, go night fishing. We had motocross bikes, so we take the motocross bikes up there. But yeah, that was sort of the younger days. Family was, my granddad was into was a big boxer in his day. But yeah, breeding and racing horses was a big thing for the family as well, mate. So yeah,
that's quite similar. So I grew up in Oxfordshire, so I kind of grew up in Oxfordshire area, and my sister was a competitive rider. My mum we used to have our own livery yard and things like that.
Awesome.
So yeah, definitely very similar childhood where it was just like, you just let outside free. You kind of just ate the dog shit, ate the horse shit, whatever you got. That was it. And then you just made camps everywhere out of firewood and shit like that.
Yes, mate. Do you know what? When it was about, I would say it was I'm trying to think of the year now. I reckon it was late 80s, early 90s. The government built a road straight through the estate, and my granddad was trying to fight it. Yeah, full on bypass motorway, went straight through the middle of the estate. And my granddad was trying to fight it. It took so much of the land up, but we lived in one of the farmhouses on the estate, and just behind us were where they were building the road. So we and my brothers were a bit of a fucking menace, to be honest. We used to go and trash all the fucking vehicles because they were building through our estate. We used to let the tires down, smash up all the vehicles. I thought, fuck them.
Delay the process. Yeah.
It wasn't me, honestly. But yeah, honestly, we used to cause havoc. I used to think, literally, you already got this road straight through our land, and it's so frustrating. And even as a kid, I knew what was going on. Yeah. So we just used to cause havoc.
Yeah. And you, how many brothers, sisters? You one of?
So I've got 2 brothers. Yeah, 2 older brothers.
That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and my older brother, the middle brother, we used to fight like cat and dog for a few years, but we get on good now. No fighting.
Amazing. And then high school, like where was like school based for you? Because where in the UK was that was that all the way through kind of until teenage years and things like that? You were there?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We sort of moved a couple of times out of the estate and then back onto the estate. And schooling was, it was, do you know what? It was all right. It wasn't anything. I didn't like school. I wasn't motivated by sitting down and fucking anything like that. And I always find myself as a bit hemmed in and a bit sort of, I don't like being told what to do, which is a problem. And I know a lot of people don't, but I didn't do very well at school at all. It just didn't interest me.
I think it's
So
school system now. It's like if I ever get to the point where I'm having kids, I'm like, I'll almost like regret sending them to school. It sounds really bad, but I'm like, just go there, meet friends, learn to be social. Don't worry about anything else.
that's my because I've got two kids. Well, they're not kids. One's 22 in 2 weeks, and the other one's 17 in 3 weeks. So, you know, my approach with them has been, okay, do your best. Don't worry too much about it. I did shit and I'm doing all right, and I always have done. So, you know, more of, you know, try and focus on the things that you love. Find a passion for something. There's no hurry. You're young. Do what you want to do, and that has led my eldest into traveling to America, working in America, coming back, going to Costa Rica, coming back, going somewhere else. So it's, you know, I'd like to think that she's sort of taken some of that on board and gone, do you know what? Let's just go and do shit.
Yeah. Honestly, like it's so refreshing to hear as well, especially from a parent, because it's like you obviously want your kids to have freedom, you want them to be safe and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know, I thought about it a lot more. I'm like, you are just like, you're not gonna be here for fucking ever. You got one life. Like, just do shit, fuck up in your 20s, do all this sort of stuff, learn loads of stuff.
Just keep fucking up as well. Fuck up in your 40s, fuck up in your 50s. Do you know what I mean? Just fuck it all up. No, I mean, you know, it's may sound like it's cheesy or whatever, but you're only gonna learn by making howlers. It's as simple as that, aren't you?
So true. And then did you do when you were at school, obviously you didn't enjoy it so much. Were you kind of is it anything you attached onto? Was it sport or anything along those lines?
Yeah. So I got into a pub sport called pool.
Yeah.
That was my thing from the age, I guess, really, because we had when I was a bit younger, my mum and dad ran a pub for a while, so I got into pool that way.
So similar. I was born in a pub.
Weird, yeah, mate. Honestly, I was in this pub for years, and I just got into pool, and my mum and dad were into it as well, and that was it. I found that I had a natural ability for it. So by the time I was like 13, I was playing for Shropshire men's county team.
Holy shit! Wow.
And then I went to play for England juniors when I was 15, and we went to Belgium, Germany, and Holland on tour. And then when I was 15, I won the European Masters Junior Championships in France.
Holy shit.
So, sign of a misspent youth, mate, in a pub playing pool. And then I found out what beer was and women, and it all fell apart.
And that's it. And I guess that's what happened from 16 onwards.
Yeah, literally, mate. But I went to college, and I enjoyed college because there was no rules. You know, if you didn't turn up for lesson, you're not going to get talked to like a little idiot. You know, it's casual clothes. And I met loads of mates there. We had a good time. We went out on the piss like everybody does at college. I didn't finish, but I came away with a couple of A-levels in business. And actually, my first full-time job as I came out of college, I was offered a manager's job at a petrol station for BP because I was doing that part-time. So it all worked out fine.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. And then from there, so how long were you at BP? How long were you at the garage for?
So I worked in hospitality for around, I would say 10 years.
Okay.
So I changed. I worked with M&S for a while as a store manager, WH Smith for a while. And then I think it was when I was around 28, 29, I went back to, I went to the School of Finance and retrained as a financial advisor. Did that. I really enjoyed that, but it was really heavy. We had it was self-employed. There's lots of money in it, but there was no time for anything else. So yeah, that I sort of changed. Just got into commercial sales. I've sold everything commercially, from solar energy to off-grid gas to porter cabins to technology, photocopiers, robotics, software. I've done it all.
Man, that's crazy. When did like bodybuilding come into your equation and like the fitness scene in a sense?
Yeah, so it was quite late on. I was never into the gym at all from a young age. It was all about being in the pub. So my ex-wife started working for a lady in a hairdresser's, and she owned a couple of hairdressers, but she also owned a sports nutrition brand called Future Physique. Now, they were one of the key distributors for CNP when CNP was a proper brand back in the day. Oh, sorry if the owners of CNP are listening to this, but it's true. So yeah, a guy called Kerry Kays used to own CNP, and it was boxing and bodybuilding. And Jim Bolton, who was really good friends with Kerry, took me under his wing, showed me what a gym looked like.
Yeah.
And then he asked me to go and help him at a show.
Okay.
And I said, all right, I'll come along. And as soon as I went to the show, mate, that was it. Yeah. That was it. I was seeing these guys getting on stage. I was backstage with them thinking, how the fuck do these guys look like this? This was probably 2009.
Okay,
something like that, 2009.
Wow.
And I was just blown away by it, mate. And that was it. I was hooked. Hooked.
When was that? I don't even know what that's. What, 20 years?
14, 15 years ago, something like that, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been on the scene, like, training. That's when you kind of got the hook and you started training on a regular basis as well then?
Yeah, I guess I dipped in and out of it for 4 or 5 years. And then when I split up with the ex-wife, I moved to Manchester, created an environment where the focus could purely be bodybuilding and work.
Yeah.
And it went from there. I joined up in Better Bodies. There's an old gym up in Denton in Manchester called Better Bodies, which is Kerry Kays' old gaff.
Yeah.
And he said, look, if you move into Manchester, mate, here's a free pass. And I was like, fucking hell, I'll have some of that. So I had a year's free pass to Better Bodies, and that was the place to be. And it literally went from there. I was like, right. I was there for about 12 weeks, met a couple of lads who helped me out, and I just said, look, I want to compete. I'm 10 and a half stone wet through. What can we do?
When was your first show then? I guess it was pretty early on.
2019, actually. Yeah, 2019. So, I did, what did I do? I did a UK BFF. I did a Body Power Nations, which is like a little subsidiary to Body Power. And then I did a PCA show in the September, PCA Manchester, which was really cool. And that's really how Full Boar got born after I'd done that show.
Yeah, that's okay. So you led on perfectly. How did the company come around, man? Like, what was the, because like you've built something very incredible in a small amount of time, in a very small amount, on the grand schemes of business, in a sense. So
yeah,
what was the why behind it all, in a sense?
So I guess how it came about was when I was in prep, I'd done a couple of posts on Instagram of some of the supplements I was using, and they're all strong. So I go back with Rick quite a few years because we trained at the same gym in Shrewsbury and blah blah blah. So I was getting asked about these products, and a couple of mates said, can you get me the strong products? I know you're mates with Rick and blah blah blah. They wanted to save a few quid, and so I said, yeah, of course. So I said to Rick, look, can I get a few of these products, but could you send them to my mate over here? Yeah, no problem, blah blah blah. We did that a few times, and I just went, hang on a minute. Yeah. There's something in this. If people are coming to me asking me for this product, rather than send them to Rick, to then I could do that, because I knew Rick was big on wholesale.
Yeah.
And the brand was building and building. So I just said to Rick, I said, how about I represent strong in Manchester? Because that's where the questions were coming from.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's do that. And then the next day I said, no, actually forget that. I'll just buy the stock off you.
Yeah.
And I'll sell it that way. So I started Full Boar Sports overnight. That was it. Man. We started on Instagram. Yeah, it was mad. yeah, it's just crazy. And I guess all the way through my life, I've always had something else other than a full-time job on the go. I've had numerous businesses. So there's always been that entrepreneurial flair. I've always said to myself, look, one income stream is never enough.
Yeah.
You've got to really look after having a few. So that if one disappears, you got another one and another one. It's always served me really well. And when I started Full Bore Sports, after I'd competed, I found out how much I loved it. I was just like,
it's part of the industry, isn't it, in a sense? And I think that's the nice thing, obviously, when you've built a community that you have and things like that. And I think, obviously, I don't know about other countries, but I feel like UK have done it really nicely in a sense. Like, obviously, I know you've got Insight and then it's yourself, and I know there's is it elite subs and things like that. There's these kind of like, I don't know, it's just done really well, and each one of them is very good at building their own community, which is insane. And I don't know anywhere else that there probably is in the US and things like that, but it's very hard to find that these companies are being built and bringing in the best supplements in the world. It's insane.
Yeah. I think from a community aspect, that's the only way to really truly, in our industry, to really truly build a business that's going to last. You know, because everybody is influenced by their coach. You know, they hang on their every word a lot of the time, and it is a big influential business, isn't it? It's a big influential industry. So I think when you sort of understand that from a business point of view, that, you know, your marketing is going to be done through by the people at the top. I feel that's why we've just gone from zero to hero real quick, because we've homed in on some of the best people in the industry, and we've managed to build relationships with them to the point where we've got to where we've got to. And, you know, one of the key people involved in the business, and I always shout them out, is Joe Cross. He's been such a key individual in opening doors for us, because nobody knew me in the industry. If I was to DM somebody about working with them 3 years ago, it would never get opened.
Yeah.
If I'm saying to Joe Cross, Joe, do you know so-and-so? Oh, yes, mate, I do. I said, do you think you could arrange, yeah, no problem, mate. But then also, because Joe was so involved and sort of invested in what we were doing, he would come to me before I'd go to him and say, Rob, look, a little bit of advice for you. There's a couple of people here that I would suggest you try and work with. If you'd like to talk to them, I can set you up. So that,
it's like you say, it's all about, like, everything stems from trust and building those relationships, right? And those relationships open doors. Like, again, especially if we can relate it to supplements as well, it's like everyone in the world knows there's a lot of bullshit that goes on with supplements. So if, like, say for example, Joe's like, dude, take this, it's honestly fucking legit, you're like, holy shit, like, it must be, like, you actually, because you trust the individual that's pushing it. Vice versa, when it's like things that are done on the mass, you're like, you kind of see it now, you know it. So that kind of micro, I guess, like those smaller influencers, I guess you can call it, like those smaller individuals that have a large impact on people.
You've hit the nail on the head, because I've been often been asked, you know, what do you look for? And I think we mentioned this, didn't we? What do we look for in an athlete, and how do you become involved with Full Bore Sports? Or what do we, you know, what's our criteria to work with us? And first and foremost, you have to have a set of morals. That is where it is at. And to establish whether you've got morals or not, we have to work behind the scenes for a little bit prior to us even getting anything on paper. And you know that, working with us now. You know, we had a lot of engagement for a long time. I know where you're at. You know, I know where your moral compass is. I know what your goals are and your vision. And it's important to match the moral compass with the energy and the vision. If we've got someone with a matching energy and vision and moral compass, that is powerful. for me, that has been literally the basis or the foundation of the company, is that we have a relationship in advance. We start growing the relationship officially, and then we take that into something even more. But we have to have the energy, we have to have that vision, and we have to have that moral compass, because people see through shit.
Yeah.
It's not a thing anymore to go and pretend that you like a pre-workout or the flavor of something, or it's not reality that that you will just use one particular brand of supplementation.
Yeah.
I get it. Big commercial corporate companies will tell their athletes, you must push X, Y, Z. Absolutely fine. I'm sure they use those products, but they use others too. So tell us what they are, just for transparency, just so we know there's no BS. And that's what we try and push.
That's the same. It's quite funny. I won't name names, but I booked in a podcast to do with someone, and in the description, like, what do you want to talk about and things like that, they put, "Oh, can we not talk about gear because my supplement company doesn't want me to talk about it?" And I was like, "That's, when you just straight away, I'm like, that baffles me." So from a supplement company point of view, surely, like, it's just more so, like, number one, it's like you're always hiding that you're an assisted athlete, but then also I'm like, so your company brand is always just advertising that you look this certain way without some help, in a sense. It's just like, come on, guys, like,
that's the BS.
And we
encourage all of it. We encourage all of it. I'll talk about my use. I just started taking insulin again. I haven't done it for a long time. I did a quick post on it. It's just about being open, and if you're open, and I don't see what harm that can do. I genuinely don't. I think, and that's another reason why we don't work with big corporate companies, because they're restrictive, they're difficult to work with, and they want everything on their terms. So we just don't deal with them. If you're not going to collaborate with me like the rest of my partners, then we can't work together.
100%. Do you ever feel like, but then I sometimes as well, I think, like, actually the smaller companies are the better companies, because they don't get down the whole the mass production line of things. Like, I guess, I don't know how the supplementation works from the inside, but I heard here that the only reason big companies are here is the fact that they have to send in a product. The product costs X amount to get tested by the government and things like that. So only the big companies can afford to push mass to the market. And then they underdose things, so it doesn't cost much their end to produce the product. So it's like, and then you get the smaller companies, like you say, but I'm like, there's a reason, like, I don't know, like, actually, I think all supplements are pretty reasonably priced nowadays for what they do from the quality brands. But like, Drain by JP, it's so expensive. I'm like, bro, it's 60 quid for whey, but I'm like, you won't shit yourself. Like, I'm pretty sure that's worth it than an extra, like, 5. Do you know what I mean? So
and it's having that confidence that, the person behind the brand gives a fuck. That's ultimately, you look at Strom as a classic example. Everything that he's brought out since day one, is quality. And I can hold my hand up and say, with all of our brands, the reason why we don't have a reduced to clear basket is because everything moves. And the rebuy rates on the products are high. If people buy Strom, they buy it again. If people buy JP, they buy it again. Why? Because it works, and you've got the trust of quality there, and also the man behind the brand. You can get hold of him. You can reach out to him. JP's putting mad lifts on his Instagram and trying to engage with people. You can speak to him on Instagram, which is really cool. It's community.
That's it. It's quite funny, like, backtracking as well. I was early on in kind of when I got into fitness as well, because Rick was a kayaker before. So this is because then I was like, I knew him from somewhere, because obviously I used to compete for GB. And then I was like, I knew it from somewhere. And then he got into the strongman kind of stuff. And he, like, I remember watching on Instagram when he kind of stepped away from kayaking, and there was this mutant all of a sudden. I was like, he used to be the guy that I used to be next to. And then he ended up
Yeah.
sponsoring Bren, who was one of my old teammates as well.
I remember him doing that, and I remember following Bren, and I'm like, this guy's nuts.
Yeah, man. So yeah,
Wow,
some of
that's
this, so it was like,
interesting.
yeah, so I was like, oh, small world, a small world.
It's all linked. Yeah, everything's connected.
But I think that's the nice thing as well, is when you can, like, it's little things like that for me. It's the fact that, like, oh, like, oh, shit, I actually used to spend a lot of time with this person on the water and things like that. And now it's like, you've watched their life grow and you've built into it. And straight from the get-go, it was never, especially if we keep using Strom as an example, it was straight away.
A good example.
Yeah, they just kept it was very transparent on the products. Like, this is for guys that like Hydromax. It's guys for huge guys that get lower back pumps and things like that. You're like, oh, okay.
If you're taking loads of gear and you get loads of heavy back pumps, this will sort you.
Yeah.
Like no convoluted BS. Just honestly, guys, this will help you out. Okay, well, let's try it. Oh, fuck, it does. It works.
Yeah. Absolutely insane. And it is lovely to see. I think it's because I did a team live for like my clients, things like that. Because obviously all the questions come up, what should I take and things like that. And it was quite funny. I was like, everyone just go into your cupboards and like, let's look at dosaging. Like, let's actually look at dosaging, compare them and things like that. And I was obviously like baffled by how much things get underdosed. It was, I think one of them was like an Amiga. I'm like, dude, you have to have like 15 of those capsules to get even like close to the dosage that you actually need.
Yeah. Amigas are the absolute one that the big corporates absolutely destroy, because there's so much out there that shows how good they are for you. They just sell to the uneducated and the blind, and people go, oh, it's an Amiga, mega, that's going to be good for me. But they don't realize they got to swallow the whole fucking lot.
Literally the whole bottle. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And I guess that is, you know, for me as well, just going back to the purpose of our business. I want people to know this shit. I want people to know that dosaging, formulations, quality of raws, so where are they sourced from, because there are so many different types of tudka you can get. There's so many different types of, you know, these new mushrooms, the lion's mane, all of that stuff. There's so many different grades, just like there's different grades of denim, you know, there's different grades of cotton. You get the shit ones, you get the good ones. There's different qualities of beef burger. You get shit McDonald's ones, you get good Five Guys ones. It's the same. It's the same. You get what you pay for. Simple as that. And our message is, I'm not gonna, like, with the member site that we've created, we've got a scientist in there called Thomas Thompson. And what he's doing, he's giving education on specific ingredients within some of our products. Now and again, he'll do a review on a product, but it's never about pushing that product. It's about explaining the product, explaining the ingredients if you want to go that deep, and making informed decisions about what is out there. And, you know, it really frustrates me that, you know, there's still so much crap out there, because like these are people are spending their hard-earned money on something that they love, and they're getting stitched. So it's our job to put that right.
And I think, like you say, it's like people are investing into what they think is what's going to help them with their health. And I'm like, it will to an extent, but the money you're spending on it and things like that, like you're going to get heartbroken, sort of thing, for actually what it's doing to you, in a sense. I'm like, better just buy a little bit more fish instead of that Amiga, because you're going to get a lot more benefit from that supplement. And it's go on, go for it.
No, absolutely. And that again, just you know, it's so important to remember for everybody that supplements are supplements, and they're not the answer. Food is the answer. The supplements will give you the margins that you're looking for.
100%. And I can back, like, generally, like, I got my bloods not that long ago and things like that. And I was like, oh, like my HDL and LDL weren't great and things like that. So obviously we wanted to increase kind of my omegas, cool, perfect, things like that. But what is amazing now is when your diet is pretty good, like 90% of the time, we're not all fucking perfect. So 90% of the time, our diet's good. And obviously being assisted at the same time, like we are going to have these potentially fluctuations with our blood work and things like that.
You'll have skews in your health, yeah.
Yeah, and I can generally sit here and say, like, I've used liver stack from Supplement Needs, I've used the omegas and things like that, and generally I've got my bloods redone and generally spot on without changing my diet in a sense. And again, it's like I was like, I got my iron was actually lower this time and things like that. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a, I've never had that. Things like that. So I was like, okay, let me just increase my red meat in general throughout the week, sort of thing. Let me just increase a bit more different greens into the diet. But then also, I'm like, right, actually, let me just supplement some kind of, make sure I've got that multivitamin in there, just to make sure. But like, I can generally sit here and say, actually, supplements will, like, especially when we're talking about quality supplements like we are, they generally will actually change the game a lot of time, as long as, like you say, the foundation of nutrition is there. They are very game changing to a point now. I think we have the science where actually they are very beneficial.
Without a doubt, and the health supplements are the ones that make the huge difference for longevity in our sport of bodybuilding, you know, where we are taking, you know, certain amounts of anabolics, and we do need those risks, you know, reduced ultimately, and that's what the supplements do. And you know, one of the two of the key products that I used on my last prep that really showed me that, wow, this has helped, were glutathione max and Hydromax, two products that I introduced into this prep that were different from my last one, and my bloods were bang on, all of them all the way through. And you know, I'll be honest, Tren was in there, Mast was in there, Test was in there, a couple of different fat burner, you know, orals were in there, and you know, the proof is in the pudding. You know, they kept me straight.
Yeah, especially like you say, when you got strong compounds in there and then you've got orals on top of that, I'm like, it shows you how much benefit they're doing from a damage control point of view. It's
exactly that.
But also, like you say, by very little, like looking at, like, actually, I just need to take 2 supplements that are generally going to benefit me, and they'll hold me strong the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my whole supplement stack was glutathione max, Hydromax, omegas, and support max, which is the on cycle from Strom, and that was honestly did me wonders, and I swear by it.
Honestly, I did, like, from my last prep as well. I was like super religious is what I took, but then I also was like, I'm a bit of a fruit freak. So I'm like, I definitely think it sounds really silly, but like I'm always like massive on, like, I love veg, even in the off season, even probably doesn't help me out to the point where it should. So I should have put too much veg.
I'll send you some reds and greens, mate.
Honestly, I'll get to that point where I'm like, yeah, I need it soon. But that's it. But like, honestly, like the foundation of just having like generally good fruit, good micronutrients in the diet, and then obviously having that extra bonus on top is generally, I came back and I remember like just being like, Cam was like, it's probably some of the best bloods I've seen post show. And I was like, thank you for that. Like, number one, but it's,
love to hear it.
But it was insane. So it's, I think when we sit here and talk about an individual's health as well, I think that's when, like, we talked about obviously for your brand and the morals as well. It's like, man, I couldn't sit by and just be like, sometimes I feel like almost heartbroken that someone's invested into some supplements and they think it's beneficial, and you're like, man, it's not. Like, or they get sold to a company because the company is very good at that marketing and bringing them in and things like that. And that's the hard thing as well, to be like, no, you need to break your relationship a little bit with that brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back on that, when we were talking about the people that are in our business that are influencers, if you want to call them, you can call them sponsored athletes, you can call them affiliates, brand partners, whatever they are. One thing that is very, very common, and it's something that I'm quite analytical with a business, you know, we have to be, to ensure that we're doing the right things and helping it grow. there's a big correlation to the smaller the following, the more influential they are in terms of generating revenue. It's just a thing in our business, you know. We never look at Instagram following to make a decision on whether somebody is going to join the business. You know, looking at content for me, when let's say when I was looking at your page, for example, like you get a good feeling as to how professional somebody is delivering themselves, and I can see if somebody's being genuine or not on a lot of videos. You know, you can see that, whether it's scripted or not, whether it's off the cuff. And we're very, very much about being organic and real, and off the cuff stuff is all I ever do. I don't script anything.
So much easier, man.
Hey, I just fucking wing it. If it's there, I'm saying it, shoot from the hip, and the content is raw. And like this, if I'm going to be put in front of a camera, there's never anything written down. I'll go, oh, have we got to talk about this today? Yeah, great, bosh. And I feel, you know, it's like with the athletes and with the affiliates like yourself and the brand partners, none of them have targets to post anything on Instagram. There's nothing in anybody's agreements to say you have to do X, Y, and Z. The reason behind that is because, well, it's twofold. One, I want it to be real. So they're going to post it because they want to post it. Oh yeah, I'm going to talk about this today because they want to. And two, you know, it doesn't become laborious.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a job attached to a supplement company, which means they have to post 20 times a month, because they're then going, fuck you, I'm bored of this, mate, and wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And you see it though, when people start to like build it in a sentence, like resent the brand as well. Like, oh yeah, like I better film this, but I actually don't take their stuff and things like that. Like you can easily look at a lot of, like you say, bigger companies and things like that have contracted athletes. And I'm like, you probably use their whey, because I'm like, I know that's banging and they're pre-workout, but I'm like, but who can fuck up whey and pre-workout? I'm like, caffeine. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's not really hard to fuck up.
You shouldn't be able to these days, mate. No, it's very hard to mess it up. Definitely.
Yeah. So and I think what the nice thing is we are starting to see that shift a lot more, hopefully in the world now. We are starting to see that vulnerability and transparency is starting to be more powerful than, and I think again, like platforms, like social media platforms aren't even rewarding that now. So it's great. Platforms are rewarding quality content. We don't care if you get likes. We don't actually, we try and not make sure you don't get likes. So now it's like, are you sharing our content? Are you sharing with an individual that will find this beneficial? And this is true where vulnerability and good morals of a company will truly triumph. And it's proving for you guys as well, which is insane.
100%. I think it just has to be relatable. You have to find one thing that people go, yeah, I get that. And then you get that emotional investment and attachment, because once you've got that, they'll go in deeper, they'll go in further, they'll watch a bit more of what you're doing, you know. And I think that's, it's extremely powerful. And you know, we've got a lot of personalities that have that. You know, I get it.
100%. I think the nice thing that obviously for what you guys are doing as well is that obviously you get known for the supplements, but now it's not so much the supplements as much now. Like a lot of the time, I actually don't see much supplements on the page now.
Don't talk about supplements.
Yeah. A lot of the time, I'm like, it's a lot of the educational process for you. I know you guys were at the opposing workshop on the weekend and stuff like that, and you're really you're opening up. I think the educational platform that you guys have got is phenomenal, because there's not many companies that tie it all in together besides Trained by JP. I don't think.
And I don't think he ties it in together, to be honest with you. And that's me probably being a bit. I don't know whether I'm talking bullshit or not, if I'm honest, because I think I've been onto the member site once of JP, and it was on my phone, and I really navigate it. So I was just like, oh right, okay. It seemed like a good place for forums and stuff. And although we have a forum element, you know, the whole point of landing in our members site And the vision for it is that wherever you are in your journey, there's going to be a benefit, because we are tackling every part of the journey. So if you've never set foot in a gym before, we've got Ali Fraser delivering content on how to train.
Yeah. And like,
And we've also,
like you say, like very good content from someone that is very smart with biomechanics and all that sort of stuff. And that's like you say, like you got a doctor as well. But yeah, like
it's just a shame he's a scouser, because we can't understand what the fuck he's saying.
I do that. Here's some stories and I have to like re-listen to it.
I always, when we're doing the seminars, I'm always slowing him down. I'll do an intro and I'll say, "This is Alistair, and he's gonna speak very slowly," so we calm him down a bit. But yeah, like I said, it's the vision is training, posing, injury prevention, physiotherapy, rehabilitation, keeping you active. And then we've got the nutrition. So we've got Nathan, who's taking care of all of our nutrition now. He's just done a series on hydration. Thought it was quite apt for the summer. And then we have got a forum area, and it's just one small part of a big community. If people want to go in and ask the athletes in their athlete series about their journeys, they can follow them, ask them questions. Soon they'll be able to throw them a DM. You'll get vlogs up there as well. I know people watch Joe Cross a lot.
Yeah.
And they love his journey. He's so engaging.
It's a guilty pleasure, isn't it? He's like a Justin Bieber. Like you shouldn't like everyone listens to his music, but like everyone's like, but it kind of doesn't say anything about it.
I love that, mate. Please clip that into a reel for Instagram and we'll tag him in. It's so true. I love that, mate. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it is though, isn't it? Because I do stuff, because obviously he's super, like when it comes down to education, if it comes down from PEDs, whatever it is, like even I think he posted something the other day, like it was just like, I can't even remember what it was. Like, I'm going to take this now, then do my steps, because then it's going to bring my heart rate to this. Then I would do cardio because it does that. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. Like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. And he so simple. And you're like, oh yeah, like that does make sense. But it's very, I don't know, it's scientific, but it's brought down to like the gorilla level so that we can understand it.
And that's the point of the member site as well. Yeah, that's the whole point, because, I feel that, there's a lot of first time, the industry's growing. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Competitions are getting more and more frequent, more first timers, all of those things. We've got a huge community at our gym of sixth form students, guys and girls, we've put seminars on for them here. And, the feedback has been amazing. And all we want to do is take them under our wing, show them the right way to be doing things, help them fast forward their progress, and give them the right advice on their journeys wherever we can, and that for me, is the part that gives me the most. When I'm at a seminar and I'm watching Ali teach, seeing seeing and hearing the feedback and people getting involved, I'm in my element. I absolutely love it, because, again, as cheesy as it sounds, I had nothing like that when I first started, and I was dicking around doing all sorts of rubbish. But if I had something like this, I'd probably be twice the size, for one, right now. And also, really importantly, I probably wouldn't have injured myself really badly as well.
Yeah. Have you had many bad injuries?
Yeah, I had really one really bad post-show. And I've got a bulging disc. It popped, mate. Honestly, I felt like I'd been I don't know what like being shot in the back is like, obviously, pretty, but
yeah,
it was like a pop and a kick, and I just fell to the floor, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't good." And I was just out of action for 3 or 4 days. Couldn't walk. I was in agony. But the reason I got injured was because I did a show. Done my shows. I ran a big cycle post show.
Okay.
I thought I was 10 men. And I went and performed an exercise that I'd never done before and never been shown how to perform it.
Yeah.
It was a snatch, grip, RDL, and Bosch. And that still affects me now. It's taken me 3 years to be able to properly lift anything off the floor again.
And like you say, like I think I'm in the earlier stages of like potentially I missed. I think that thank you to the older generation now, in a sense. The thank you for the people that are fucked up pretty much for my sake, because like they're saving me now. There's definitely things that I like. Shit, I wish I was eating this, training like this 2 years extra earlier. But I'm glad to be being caught by it now, especially when it comes from PEDs and things like that. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy that people know what they're fucking talking about now, because you hear cycles and you hear things. Yeah. What people used to do, like, I'd probably be dead. Like, I can't even imagine. Yeah.
No, exactly that. And I was lucky when I first started. I had somebody help me with PEDs who was very cautious.
That's good.
Was very cautious, which was really, really cool.
Probably rare back then as well. Like, that's not even.
Oh yeah. This is like 2009, and he's just like, look. He made me wait. He wouldn't let me touch anything for a year, and you know, he was properly, you know, he's a friend obviously as well. So, but he could have just gone, yeah, is the stuff, crack on, because he sold it.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
That's great.
Which is but yeah, you know, I watch, you know, bits of Dr. Dean when I can understand him, because I'm not that intelligent to understand him.
I hear estrogen. I'm like, I know what that means.
Yeah. I've interviewed him 3 or 4 times, and I have to keep it to 5 minutes so that we don't start getting into the realms of too much science.
Yeah, that's the thing I think with sometimes as well. Like, I'll happily sit here and be like, guys, I do know my shit, but I'm like very simple shit. Like, if you need to know about like, what does lion's mane do for my thing? I'm like, I don't know. It helps, like, you feel a little bit stressed and anxious because I don't know how it does that sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's absolutely fine. So then I'm like, okay, cool, no worries. Go to this guy, or go to, like, again, like the member site. There's a doctor on it that will say what I'm saying, but he'll tell you the why and things like that in simple terms.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really important for even on a simple level, because the more knowledge that you have, the more likely you are to take action. It's the same with the blood work and the harm reduction. You know, if you know how to read your blood work, and you know that red line shouldn't be there, and the reason behind it, you're not going to ignore it. You're going to go, fuck, I need to do something with that, because I fully understand that my kidney is elevated or my liver is elevated. We know to go through and fix this. If you're just reading your blood work and it's slightly in the red and you're not getting advice on it, or, you know, you're just going to, yeah, we'll carry on blasting. We're all right. Yeah. Just, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%. That's the thing as well, because the thing is with blood work is that everyone's like, oh, I feel fine. I'm like, there's a difference between feeling fine and actually what's going on. It's like, I always do that smoking, and I was like, people smoke for years, but they didn't know their lungs were going black and actually rotting from the inside. Like,
yeah. My dad's got heart disease now because of it. You know, he's got heart disease from smoking. He didn't get it when he was 20, 30, 40. He's got it now he's 65 because he's been abusing his body. And it's the same thing with anything if you abuse it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the nice thing with, like, I do like about blood work is that sometimes it's always that nervous thing to get the results back. I get it back in 24 hours, you're like, fuck, and then you panic for 24 hours. Hope, fingers crossed, it's going to be good. But it is. It's sometimes being like, it's that harsh thing being like, it's black and white on the table. Here are your issues. You need to sort them out. And I think sometimes you do need to see, though, like, again, like, we'll always push blood work 100%. Like, if you're on every 3 months, like, if you're on cycle, things like that, I think definitely at least, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why we're heavily into the education side on the blood work as well. You know, there's a specific section in the member site that will talk you through your whole blood report. It's going to take a while to cover it all, but it started with a certain part. and we're developing it. So, you know, it's that for me. It's, you know, little things like what the liver does all the way through to, you know, like I said, reading a blood report that gets a little bit more complex, and why the report says what it says. You know, it's vital, and you know, the goal is that, you know, you can reference there's a lot of information in the industry. There's a lot of great information as well. Let's be honest. There's a lot of good stuff out there now. John Jewett, Dr. Dean, you know, Strom. You know, there's loads of really good people.
You forgot you guys, but it's okay.
Well, I was coming to that. I was coming to that. Our goal is to have that quality of referral. So if you've got a question that needs answering, you can confidently say, do you know what? There's somebody in that member site in the education team, and there's 6 of them now in our member site, that you can pop in, ask them a question, and get it sorted.
Amazing.
That's the goal.
Amazing. And that kind of leads me on nicely. I know you're obviously busy and things like that. I don't want to take up loads of your time, but what is the vision? I guess like the nice thing is I want to know the vision for yourself as well, personally, your own fulfillment, and obviously for the brand over, I don't know, like what's the vision? What do you see for yourself and the brand as well?
Yeah, so for myself personally, like bodybuilding wise, you know, I'm just gonna maybe compete once more, maybe not. I didn't do very well on prep last time in terms of my mental health recovery. It was a long time, and it affected my current relationship. So, you know, and I'm fully aware of that, and it scared me, to be honest, mate. I'll be honest with you. It scared me when I look back and I went, wow, was that really me? Yes, it was. What a knobhead. Yeah. And you know, hopefully people can relate to that and actually look back on themselves if they've been a bit of a dick and just go, I was a dick. Yeah. But not joke about it, actually fucking take some action around it. But yeah, maybe I'll compete again, but it won't be good, you know, for a good 5 or 6 years. Currently, I'm just trying to put a bit of size on. I have personal physique goals, and that's it. And I love training, so you know, I'll carry on doing that. But the vision for the business, it's pretty clear in my mind, and sometimes it's hard to relay. But you know, we do want to be the #1 bodybuilding and fitness community in our industry. You know, where JP probably has that title now, we would see ourselves overtake that, because I feel what we have is a broader offer.
Yeah.
Okay, so we may appeal to a broader range of people, not just hardcore bodybuilding, which I believe, you know, JP is pretty hardcore. JP's hardcore himself, you know. It's but you know, so we want to do that from an educational point. That is going to be in a community point. That is going to be our goal, is to build the member site to be the #1 community hub. It's going to be the go-to place for all things bodybuilding, training, you know, whether it's PD use or it's a first-time gym goer. You know, we want to harness those individuals that are going to take the gym seriously. We're not a brand that, you know, somebody would come to us and they're not serious about. It's quite a life choice. Do you know what I mean? We're going to the gym 3-4 times a week, and we're 80% on plan most of the time. That's our typical market, and that's where we want to be, because we really want to shape some of the younger generation and pass on a bit of wiseness, you know. Pass on the reality of some of the mistakes that we've made, and just try and, we want to be the difference to people's journeys. If they're going to compete, then there's everything that you could want in our member site to compete. So we've got to put tanning in there. Tanning, skincare, and beauty is something that we're missing at the moment. So we're going to be working on that. But the vision, yeah, is that is to be up there, to be number one, to be leading the industry, and we are doing things that other people aren't doing right now, and that's having this holistic platform that's underpinned by a phenomenal supplement offering that is all linked. You know, there's nothing that's going to be, and we're going to start building an app at the end of July to support this vision, and that app will change the game completely for us. And we want it to be, you know, one touch technology. And I always say, you know, one of my biggest passions about the brand is the posing side, because I believe it's one place where we can really impact. We can really make a difference to the standard of posing in the industry. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to make our platform and our seminars and our people accessible. And when I mean accessible, I mean accessible online, accessible from a cost perspective, accessible across the UK. Yeah. And we've already got a number of guys in there who've committed to us to deliver this education, and we just want to make it accessible. There's a lot of high ticket stuff in the business, in the industry right now. That's fine. There's a market for that, but we want to be holistic. We want to be offering this and making it accessible to everybody on all budgets, but with the same quality. And that goes across for the whole business.
Yeah, amazing, man. And honestly, like the way that you, like, obviously we've spoke for a long time back and forth and things like that, but
yeah, you
can truly, like, when your tone of voice just says it all. Do you know what I mean? The passion behind it and the clear direction is massive. Because I'll sit here and be like, I absolutely adore you, I adore the brand, I adore the people a part of it. And it's nice to be like, I love bodybuilding. I'm not a bro, but I'm pretty much like, I'm a bro when it comes to what I want to achieve with bodybuilding, but actually, like, my coaching, my things like that is I'm a wet sob at the end of the day. I'm emotional. I've got my heart on my sleeve, sort of thing. So it's really, like, when you say, it's really nice, because obviously, like, I'm looking at it from that side of you, because when you obviously think trained by JP, I'm like, I don't want to be a mutant. I don't want to, like, even me, I'm like, I don't want to, I love,
I don't want to look like that.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to be.
Imagine being that size and that height. Fuck.
Yeah,
that's an awkward life.
Yeah, and it's just like, and then for me, it's just like, I don't know. It's just nice to be connected with a brand that, I don't know. Again, I think my personal vision with my own coaching and things like that is almost the same. It's exactly the same as yours to an extent with the brand, which is lovely.
That's why we work together.
Yeah,
that's why we work. We've got that connection. That connection is there.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely amazing. No, honestly, but I won't take too much of your time, but honestly, absolutely incredible. Obviously, this being the 1% podcast, a little bit of a tradition is that 1%. So what is that one thing that you can tell an individual today that is going to get them one step further forward to tomorrow?
Right, this is my big thing, and do you know what? I love the title of the podcast, mate. It makes me feel special, like 1%. Like, yeah, I'm there. It's got the heads going bigger, mate. But do you know what? My absolute, and not a lot of people will think this is very clever. I'm very much a guy who thinks less and does more. If you want to get to somewhere, you have to take action. You can't sit too long and sit on your hands and think about stuff. You know, I make a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot recently, but that's how I'm learning. We referred to it before, but certainly in business, think less, do more is what I would suggest to anybody. If you've got an idea, if you've got a vision, if you've got a plan or whatever, go and do it. See what the fuck happens. That's it, you know. But yeah, that would be my advice to get your 1% out there.
It's true though. Like, we live in this world where everyone wants to be perfect for some reason. They want to have the perfect supplement stack. They want to do the perfect training perfectly. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Just fucking try it. Just go.
Just do it. just do the thing, and then you can always not do the thing or do something else. But it's that trying, mate, isn't it? It's 100% that just go for it.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the one thing I think I always say it like failure needs to be redefined as trying. At least you're trying all the time instead of seeing it as
yeah. Here's a question for you then. How did you come to the decision to move to Dubai, and where were you living before you moved to Dubai?
I was in a box in London. I was online at the time. Obviously, it was a little bit post-COVID, that first lockdown. Stayed in London because I thought I needed to do one-to-one just in case. And then that second lockdown, November came around, and it was that month, and I was like, fuck this, I can't do this. The Dubai hype was kicking off. I came out here for 2 weeks, something like that. And then I applied for my visa to move out in January.
How long? This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I never wanted to, like, Dubai was one of those places where I'm like, no one ever intends to be here. I don't think anyone that kind of did the move, I don't think anyone really planned on it. Everyone came out here and just thought, fuck it. And a lot of people just stayed. I literally just packed up 4 bags and gave all my furniture and my apartment stuff to my sister, and that was it.
And how long did you sit on your hands thinking about that?
Oh no, I was here and I was applying for the visa. Yeah, like
my actual point. And wow, how well has it turned out for you?
Yeah, that's it. Like you say, like over the last, I don't know, what, 2.5, 3 years now, I've learned so much more about myself more than anything. Like, yeah, it's been great to learn a lot about training shit and food and like, all these little things, but I'm like, they just got a little bit better and I just got a little bit more, physique and like, but unlocking myself and really becoming myself when probably for the last 26 years I wasn't. I was like, okay, now I'm myself. And I think that's what's unlocking.
I can fully relate to that.
Yeah.
I can fully relate to that, mate.
Yeah. And it's
being yourself, unlocking that, understanding who you are. And yeah, just like I couldn't have done this if I was living back in my hometown. Like the judgment and the ridiculousness of it would be silly. Do you know what I mean? It's so limiting. And I'm here now, and I genuinely sort of behave in however I feel. You know what I mean? It's like I don't really care what people think, and that's
like
special.
Probably me and you probably thought for a long time. We actually I was like, I don't care what people think, but I really fucking did.
Like, yeah, mate, I fully did. Yeah, I can't do that because of that. Oh.
Yeah, I literally had a.
Now it's like.
Yeah, so I'm like, mate, like I think my I was quite funny. I was talking about social media the other day, and I was like, oh, I lost 100 followers, and I was like, thank fuck, eh? Thank fuck they've got. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, if you don't like me, I'm like, great, because I'm like, there's 7 million people in the world. I'm like, I don't go, like
99 bots, 99 bots.
Exactly, yeah. So you're just like, but no, I'm just like, I think what's
cool.
Yeah, it's it, and it's what's gonna. I can sit and be like, the 6 months has changed my life, what I've learned. So
yeah,
I feel like, you know, when you're like, I feel like, yeah, I'm fucking dangerous now. I actually believe in myself for once. Do
you know what? That is a word. That is a word that has, I guess, I would say, since I started the member site, which was probably 10 months ago, and it was an idea, and we've just sort of moved along slowly with it to understand what its capabilities are and to really understand the ideas and how we can implement them and how we can grow it. Since I've started that, I've probably had the most belief in something that I've never been so certain about in my life. I can see it. And you know, when people like Conor McGregor, you see clips of him on Instagram talking about self-belief. I fucking know what he's on about now.
Yeah, that's the difference. Yeah,
I fully get it.
Yeah,
like whereas before I'd be like, it's just a clip for Instagram. You know, it's just him talking It's not. It's so true.
Yeah, I watched that. Do you see the Netflix series?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was like that because before, like again, if you ask me a year ago, I'll be like, oh, he's just a boxer. They're all like that because they have to be a bit arrogant because they have to hype themselves up. And I'm like, no, they actually believe they can knock someone the fuck out in a cage. Like they actually know they can. And I'm like, that's scary.
They go in to kill him.
Yeah,
if they were, just think if they were in a cage and there was no referee, what would happen?
Death. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, they would. That's the thing. Like when you see people, again, we've gone off, but when you see them punching, and I'm like, they will not stop when they're on the ground.
No.
That's why he has to jump in all the time. Why do you think they fly in
or die?
Yeah.
It's if there wasn't a referee, there would be deaths all the time because they wouldn't stop.
Yeah, that's it. It's a new MMA. That's it. We've got it now. We'll just go to Joe Rogan and be like, bro, we've got a great idea. No refs.
Yes. No refs. Yeah. Celebrity death match. I'm sure that was the thing years ago.
Yeah, 100%. I want 2%. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Come on, let's do it.
No, absolutely amazing, man. I will let you crack on with your day because I know that I could speak with you for hours. Where is the best way for everyone to kind of find out about you, Full Boar, everything along those lines?
Instagram is always a brilliant place to land, but what I'd suggest if anybody wants to go and find out how we're getting on with a member's site and they want to experience it for free for 30 days, just pop onto www.fullboarsports.co.uk, hit the membership site tab. I think it's at the top. And, sign up to 30 days. It's a cancel anytime scenario. It's not a contract. Drop us a message on Instagram if you've got any questions. I'm at the end of the Instagram. It's always me. Nobody else has got the password. So I do a lot of customer service from there. But that's the best place. Instagram, website, fill your boots.
Awesome, guys. I'll attach all the links and stuff, all in the bios and stuff below, wherever that ends up, Spotify, YouTube and stuff like that. But no, honestly, guys, anyone that does just reach out, Rob's absolutely amazing. I sent him voice notes for about a year and a half.
Oh, we was loving it, weren't we? It was in your prep. It was
it. But yeah, honestly, I can sit here and say yep, he's the man on the other side because he'll send you a voice note back.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely reply. I'm a voice note kind of guy as well. If you drop me a message in Instagram, you're getting a voice note back 90% of the time.
Amazing. No, honestly, but thank you so much, and I will speak to you in a bit.
This has been a pleasure. Thank you, sir, for inviting me on.
Thanks, bud.